Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band will be hosting a party. Morgan made an enemy of Lady Bolonsong, Eli and Gideon Kotov designed an estate-sized maze, Valentyne helped Attikus prepare a pitch, and the new Lord of House Van Houten won the right to host the fall party. But what will happen at the upcoming race across the land and through the sky? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
From the Lizardman Letters. Of course, the opening ball is always a perfect place to make a first impression, or in some cases a last, as after all, if one puts one's foot too far in one's own mouth at such an event, well, the social damage will be far too much to recover from. Don't believe me? Just go ask the fine folks of House Morales. Oh wait, you can't, because no one speaks to them anymore. Not after last celestial season. Better luck next time, friends. Having successfully managed to finagle your way, partially through browbeating the party planner, into giving you the fall season party, you've now secured for yourselves a chance to show off the wealth and status of the false House Van Houten, as well as drawing some much-needed attention to your cause in order to win over the heart of Duke Wixthorpe, such that you can take a trip to the Cloud Palace and fuck up an Eldar, as you know you do. Before that, though, you must survive a number of horrific social interactions with people that you would rather just nuke from space. Mm-hmm. We begin, of course, with the welcome ball being hosted by House Bolonsong. This is a pretty big event for kind of making an arrival and a statement. Right now, there's a lot of talk amongst the Lizardman letter, let alone various servants and folks around town, of the mysterious rogue trader and the scarred but handsome military man that have reappeared out of nowhere into the court of the society. But there are also all the regular intrigues. There are all sorts of families vying for things. And so, although the focus of our game is on the two of you, Attikus and Morgan, for the society, there are a lot of other main characters that we just aren't talking about. But a lot of those games are coming to fruition as everyone plays their cards. There's a lot of schemes that have been put in place to jostle for better station. After all, the celestial season comes but once every 5 years, and people can only enjoy the seasons that the king generates once every 5 years. Otherwise, it is just rain all day, every day. So people are pretty fucking excited for some spring weather. Incidentally, does have rain, but it also a chance to reshuffle the deck of the society a bit, as it were. So, with the welcome ball coming up, and unfortunately with your initial contact with Bolonsong being not the best, you need to figure out what you're going to wear, as well as what your approach is going to be to this ball. From what Hugh has been able to tell you, the welcome ball is really, you can almost think of it as the equivalent of when like a footman calls out everyone's name and you appear at the door and everyone stops and looks at you and then just carries on. Or like a stop and photo, like a stop and pose or whatever on a red carpet. Like it's more about everyone getting a chance to see you, and then a chance for you to just smack talk your rivals once to their face and get a sense of who they are. Everyone will get to meet each other, but it's not meant to be like a big to do that comes later. This is really meant to be a present yourself, say what you're about, and then fuck off kind of thing. And the race will happen the following day. So people get a night to rest between the sort of introduction to the season. But it is a big deal. The town is abuzz. The sky is indeed clearing. You can see kind of the cloud cover is slowly falling away. And you have some time to figure out what your approach is going to be before the event this evening. So we will say that whatever you decide you're wearing has been ordered in advance. But I need to know kind of what you're thinking, what your approach is.
Yeah, well, Morgan will have a different outfit, but I think it's like a suit, like a black suit, but with a fancy, colorful shirt underneath with lots of frills and like shorter arms so that you can see more of the color underneath, but the rest of it, very black, sharp suit, and then getting Eli a matching outfit, basically. So like a tuxedo, but very stripped down, but with a little bit of like trinkets and color underneath. So it's like very professional, but something...
A little pocket square with the hint of the color.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like just a little bit of like, we have stuff going on, but not showing, right? So it's like visually the same thing we're trying to put forward. Yeah.
All right. Can you roll me a Streetwise, please, at difficulty... I think difficulty 2 for this one.
Okay.
And I will give you a boost for the fact that you are going with something very similar to what you already wear. So when people say, what is it supposed to look like? You're like, this but different, as opposed to like, imagine if you will.
Right.
A hell of a lot easier. All of you also give you a boost for Thaddeus Thunderhorn being your on-site tailor because you can get alterations made.
Alterations, yeah, exactly.
On-site, yeah.
Then I'll roll this as is.
If he sticks a pin in Eli, holy shit.
Well, at least Morgan has something going for her. 4 successes, 2 advantages.
Oh, man. These outfits are easy to find and amazing.
Okay,
you're able to very quickly put these together. And I think the fact that you're adding the flourishes and just altering them slightly means that it's both familiar and kind of titillating because there's just like the hint of like, did I hear the jingle of bangles, but I can't see them? What?
Exactly.
Like there's just a little bit of that nonsense going on. So, an easy fix.
Yeah.
And Thaddeus would fucking never try and adjust something on Eli. He knows that's how you eat shotgun. So he would do your measurements and then go deal with it elsewhere.
Smart abomination.
Yeah. There's just a lot of like him sitting in his room alone, like hunched over a desk, like humming to himself as he like continues to sew the house crest. On that note, what is the house crest?
Research into the Van Houten house is they made up a creature to seem interesting and exotic. So it's a 3-headed horse rearing up, and it's got wings also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say a triaquine, but if it's got wings...
3-headed Pegasus.
Trigasus. You got to draw that Trigasus. So he's going to town on those. He's doing a pretty good job, all things considered. But also given that it's the Van Houten family and their crest was likely not that great to begin with in terms of the quality of the prints.
I was going to say, what is the Rawls Varn? What's the Varn Rogue Trader logo? Because that's what Eli would wear, correct? Because Eli's posing as your footman, and we've separated these two factions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So more good backstory that she does have also Rawls Varn's dueling last pistol, which is her like hidden gun that she had earlier, and it has it's all gold and red and has filigree on it. So I think it was just like a gold and red with just like filigree symbols, maybe like kind of a V shape sort of thing.
Sure,
cool.
Yeah, I think that. Thaddeus has been so busy. But, it's fine. He's not patching up almost dead people, so he's happy, and he can hide from the eyes of the society lest they know a monster walks among them. So he's happy. Okay, great. So those are in play. Outfits look good. Valentyne and Attikus, what kind of outfits are we dealing with here? What's the vibe?
Would Valentyne have sourced the uniforms, or would it be a joint? I
mean, Valentyne would have sourced because he would just buy them through the appropriate channels. Right. But it's really up to Attikus. Like, he's kind of nailed down the character and the family history, and he actually knows more about the Van Houtens than anybody else. So Valentyne would throw to Attikus for this.
And he's going to try and make a statement and have that Ehrlich Pelt carpet restored and then tailored into some fancy nightwear, incorporated, let's say, into let's say a tuxedo kind of ensemble, but the jacket is very long with no sleeves, and underneath is the pelt as a sash.
Cool. Yeah. I guess you're saying no sleeves. Are you making any effort to dress up the arm, or is the arm just the arm?
Attikus would need help. I think he would go to Valentyne and be like, so I don't know what to do about Righty over here. Is it acceptable in these circles to so brazenly display the Emperor's might?
Well, depending on the society, most wealthy people are of two minds. One is trying to cater to the whims of others, and the other is a statement of power by refusing to do so. Looking at your arm, which, like, changes his whole frame and his whole body.
That's
is, like,
correct.
statured differently, and it's fucking huge. He's like, putting a sleeve on it, I don't believe will successfully hide it. So I would say lean in. Show off the arm, deny nothing. Make it a signature piece and a conversation starter rather than not.
All right. Could Robite then requisition some, I don't know, gilding or something? I don't want to limit any kind of functionality, sir.
Yes, we could work with Gideon Kotov. I could buy some jewelry we could melt down to create some more, let's just say, Imperial Regent-esque golden hand for you, and we could decorate it up. I do believe that would be an excellent choice.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, so we'll gild that motherfucking arm, make it look real cool.
All right.
And Valentyne will take his usual black armor with his breastplate, and he will just add a black lace Austin Powers style collar and black lace at the wrist. So he's still a butler. He's just a butler plus 10% for an event.
Plus 10 butler.
Is that called a cravat? Is that what that was?
cravat.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
And Valentyne will switch around to a black lace daredevil style headdress that covers his eyes and ties at the back. So he's not just wandering through a party in sunglasses. He's got a specific hidden style look.
Yeah.
As you wish. All right. So I think I need a what to be done here. You know what? I actually don't think you guys need to roll for this, given that you have money and Morgan doesn't.
Cool.
I think that's a safe assumption. So you're outfitted. The evening fast approaches. Is there any final preparation you want to do as a group before you're on your own?
The only thing would be if we considered that the outfits were sorted ahead of time. I don't know if it matters for this party, but it would be on Morgan's to-do list to help Attikus practice dancing.
Yep.
So that would be,
Yep.
yes, that would be something that she would try to get in before this, if possible, since this party is upcoming.
Why don't we spend a story point then, which will bring us to holy shit, 0 and 5.
I don't feel like this should be my alone decision to make.
Do you want to either you can spend a story point and have it, or you can try and roll for it and see if you can train Attikus to dance in a short amount of time.
I hate choices. Game of choices. I hate. I feel like let's roll for it, because it's like if we can fit it in before this, if we can't, then it's going to be like, don't dance.
Don't dance. What did we learn? You're not going to dance.
You're not going to dance. Are you going to dance tonight? Maybe yes, maybe no.
You know how they say you can dance if you want to? Not you. That does not apply to
this
you.
Is
That's
gonna
everyone
be,
but you.
Stay with your
well,
friends.
it's more of a, it's going to be, we had a quick touch point that was like, okay, apparently you are good with horses, animals. Let's see if that pertains to dancing.
How in the world would that pertain to dancing?
Just Attikus not at all ready to believe that this is going to be any kind of transferable.
Well,
we will see.
Yeah.
We will indeed see. We're going to make this a coordination. How to play this? Attikus, what is your coordination?
2 greens.
2 green? Okay, so I'm going to say, Morgan, it's going to be a coordination check, agility. Your difficulty is going to be 2 red.
Okay, yep.
I'm going to give you a setback for the time crunch.
Okay.
I don't know if I have anything else. Oh, you can have a boost for Hugh having shown you videos of local dances.
Yes.
So you've got that. And realistically, since it's a bunch of aristocrats, odds are a bunch of them are very good at dancing, but there's also probably a bunch of dances that are very like,
simple.
Hey, do you not really move around much in your life? Here's the dance for you.
Right.
You still need to do this because you're fancy. That kind of.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's all I've got.
I'd say Valentyne probably isn't around to help with this because he's out supervising the teams building the property. Like, he's got to do the valet work, and a lot of the valet work is making sure the house is right, and that, like, none of the construction guys are drawing pictures of the map they're clearly taking off to give to other rich people. Like, he's got to keep them bouncing around, so he'll be doing that.
Okay. I'm going to just push a button and cry. Oh, Attikus, look, you just put your foot here and you moved it. You're natural at this. I got 2 successes and 6 advantages.
Holy shit.
Hello.
Yeah.
You're going to push a button and cry?
I was prepared to.
That was a pretty good result.
Yeah. So, Attikus, I think as Morgan describes this sort of stuff, you just sort of like quickly come to realize that she's basically just describing the basics of CQC. And you're like, oh, I can do this.
Okay.
Like, this is just
don't kill your dance partner.
Yeah, it's just fighting, but you don't hit them. Like, this is fine. I can do this. And yeah, a lot of the movements are similar enough that you're just able to. And again, like based on your size and your bearing, like no one will be expecting you to be tremendously agile or anything. They just need to know that you know the steps. And to your point about how you learned the Van Houten family history earlier, like drilling the same 4 or 5 steps over and over again, like fucking sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That all day for Attikus.
Yeah, I think she taught him just those simple steps. But the other thing that she discovered while working with him on this is like, wait a second, his big power fist is like, just curve that up and stick it, don't move it, and then that person can just chill like in that space, and they can just
taking my
turn
dance
around.
partner on a ride.
Yeah. It's like teacup ride style.
Yeah. Yeah, so they call it the formal scoop.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. Okay, I like that a lot. I also like that we're continuing the trend of like every character Tyler plays across all of our shows is an excellent
He's a
dancer.
dancer.
So, like, get on it, Everett.
Oh, God.
All right. So, great. I dig that. Okay, so yes, you managed to get some dancing in. You still have 1 story point. Good for you.
You did it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, great. So the night approaches. The skies have cleared. There's a light breeze. That awful smell of fresh earth and growth is still just lingering in your nostrils. But it's the first time you can see a clear sky. So the night sky is up, vaguely purple tint. There's lots of stars. Absolutely beautiful. And your respective carriages arrive. Morgan, you are out of money. And Hugh doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So I think you have to ride your horse.
I was going to say take the horse, actually.
Yeah.
I was planning on that.
Yeah. Okay, great. So,
Perfect.
yeah. So it'll be the 2 of you on Star Killer. And then for Attikus and Valentyne, it is like a proper fucking carriage. It's got like, think Cinderella style, like unnecessary. And it's been quickly painted to meet your livery. Of the Van Houten family. There's like a somewhat crudely but still like capably sculpted 3-headed Pegasus on the front, so it does have like a suggestion of the animal. And Hugh steps out dressed to the nines and just says, sorry, it's Robute
Figurello
says, yes, Mr. Figurello, Lord Van Houten, you're both looking tremendously well, if I may say.
Attikus does not respond.
Doesn't need to. You're a lord.
Yeah.
So I was going to say,
just weighing
Valentyne will give him a
don't
nod
say anything.
and just say, thank you, Master Smiggleton. Valentyne will have left his weapons behind. He is not carrying to this.
It's okay. You're still carrying. The weapon is with you.
Yeah. I got the Doom Fist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Overwatch.
Yeah. So you load into the carriage. Hugh's going to drive, but the 2 of you in there. Is there anything you want to discuss? Just the 2 of you. And so many Attikus and Valentyne alone moments. This is rare these days.
Oh, I will flag just to keep me honest. Valentyne also leaves his concealed compact blast pistol behind. He's not trying to sneak anything into this one. He's going to play this one totally honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have had some Attikus Valentyne moments, but this has to be Robite Francois moments in a carriage.
Correct.
True. Yeah. Yep. Fair enough.
So Attikus, I think, just Attikus is silent unless Valentyne is going to try to initiate some kind of.
Valentyne is in fucking character.
Yeah.
He is there. He exists to serve. Like, are you wearing a hat to this event, or are you going hatless for this one?
I don't think Attikus would have thought about that. So I think no hat. Unless someone else was like, this man needs a hat.
It cuts back to the top hat Morgan found you just sitting alone in a room.
The
lights are off.
Valentyne has had your monocle polished. It's on a little pillow in front of him so he can present it to you if there are things you want to look at. Otherwise, it's just waiting. And then he's just sitting ready to serve.
It's so wealthy you don't need to see. Like,
Yeah.
I'll only look when I want to.
Valentyne will just walk you around obstacles if you can't see them. Otherwise, he's there to just present the monocle or collect drinks or things like that.
Excellent. Okay. And then for Morgan and Eli, just like arriving on a stallion.
Yep.
Just a very tired horse that had to carry both of you.
Yeah.
So it pulls up, and it very much is like a red carpet situation. It is back at the Bolonsong estate, so it's like the guards as you arrive, one of them like nods to Eli and is like, "Do you have any notes on those mazes?" But like clearly you'd be like rush past, like there's no room to talk to this guy. Eli, would you try and say anything to him, or are you just ignoring him? So Eli has a hard time ignoring things, so I should ask.
No, he's gotten what he needs. Like the plans are there. He doesn't need anything more from this person. He's not gonna. I don't know. The damage is done with this fucking house and these people. He doesn't want to make anything worse.
Fair enough.
So he is like Valentyne. He is in character. He's shutting the hell up.
Yeah, Clarence is quiet but respectful. How about you, Morgan?
What if the horse is listening?
Yeah. Morgan is just trying to do the best she can to look proper, and man, trying to be charming did not work for her very well. So I think she's going to try to I'm going to just try to be mysterious, because that people liked that at the bar. So I think it's more just quiet and mysterious and looking at people, giving like furtive glances at people. And that's what we're going to try tonight to do.
The Edward Cullen special, as it were.
That's true.
Yeah, just show up at a new school and be like,
Yep.
It's like, oh my God, so interesting. Cool. All right. So you get some funny looks having arrived on a horse without a carriage. There's a lot of like, okay, but also you're from off-world, so everyone's kind of like, maybe everyone just drives horses where they're from. Every planet has horses in their heads. All right, so you arrive, and the front doors are open. People are like have drinks and food and are just kind of like milling about outside. And there's kind of like as you approach, there is of course like someone standing by with like a big fucking 40K style like voice amplifier. So it's just spiky and metallic and has like a horrible screen on it, and like an unnecessary amount of like tubes. and shit, and just anytime someone comes up, they hop on and announce them. You can see Vernilius Venomblight just like running around making sure everything is in order, just like yelling at someone about a nice sculpture that isn't working the way it's supposed to, and you walk up, and the attendant turns to I guess Valentyne and says, "And who shall I announce this to be?"
And Valentyne hands over the card. He's had beautifully calligraphied cards with the full title of Lord Francois van Houten, imperial hero, warrior of the emperor, and 3 other flowery phrases that all make it clear that he's murdered a bunch of people, because that seems to be his go-to reputation.
Great. So the attendant announces this with that same kind of like bored drawl that all like announcements of famous people go with. But then has to like turn the card over for the additional like, things. And you do see kind of almost a tremor of excitement travel through the crowd as they hear like, it's not just like Lord of this place. It's like Van Houten. They're like, okay. And it's like Imperial Hero. Like, oh. And then like, oh. And there's immediately that thing where like people don't know what to say around like firefighters or soldiers, where it's just like, thank you for your service. Like there's a lot of that happening, because the wars of the Imperium are so fucking far away from Greybridge to the mines of Greybridge, not really knowing how delicately balanced on a knife's edge the entire galaxy is at all times, that this really is like we don't know how to act.
Yeah, and I would say Valentyne they would have had this discussion previously to just like clear Attikus, but it's like war stories about killing orcs. Go right fucking ahead. You want to tell the story about the time you fought a corrupt inquisitor and then murdered them? Go right ahead. Like, just leave out all the Valentyne shit, but all combat stories are on the table if he wants to share them with people. So those would be built into just like a little trickle of just, if you want to ask questions about the time he fought Warlord, Orc Warlord Gruck. Yeah, it's been mentioned.
Cool. Okay, I like that. All All right, so you arrive to some fanfare. I'm going to give Attikus and Valentyne, you each get a boost on your next your next role in this social sphere. Morgan, you and Eli show up. Same sort of situation, except this time the person doesn't even turn to you, doesn't even really notice until you kind of bump into them. You're here, and he turns to this. Who am I announcing?
Rogue trader Captain Rolls Vaughn here.
Oh, and like he was looking at Eli, and then he like turns back to you and says, your footman doesn't have a card?
No.
She speaks for herself, and she speaks well.
The cardless rogue trader Captain
Fuck this guy.
Rolls Vaughn.
God
And like
damn.
no one turns. They're all still watching Attikus as Attikus moves in. There's some light chuckles.
Eli makes a mental note of what this guy looks like, just in case he gets a chance.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that Eli was going to be able to tell any of these aristocratic foot people apart. It's just to be like, all right, you were the fancy one.
All right, I'm going to punch somebody in a wig and a pillbox hat before this night is through.
Yep.
Maybe it was you. Maybe it was you. Just windmill punching his way through the crowd.
Just fighting staff on the Van Houten estate. Like, I saw you there, you fancy fuck. Just beating the shit out of the guy in the corner.
They're all hardened criminals. It's fine. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to give Morgan, you, and Eli each a setback on your next social.
So sorry.
Social,
so sorry.
Yeah,
situation.
it's she. Yeah.
I mean, Laura, for what it's worth, I don't think arriving on a horse without cards was going to work out, regardless of what Eli said.
You did great. Well, you did great.
Yeah. When all one's money is tied up in a ship, you know.
Look on the bright side. It's not 2 setbacks.
I mean, it is total.
And this is why I hate math. All right, so there's lots of folks milling around the party. Again, it's outside, so it's kind of in the front yard of the estate with like the giant fountain with the trees lining either side. Electric lights have been strung up sort of across everything. They do give off a bit of a harsh yellowish glare because, of course, like 40K isn't exactly known for its like, here's all the like nice spectrum of LED. It's just really like, these are work lights, but they're nicer. Visually, they're nicer, but the light is still kind of harsh. But you really should think like giant garden party kind of situation. It's a very spring-friendly thing. I will say, though, that it does kind of mean that everyone is in vaguely dim light, which makes it slightly harder to spot who you want to spot. There's kind of a sense of like,
Except for Valentyne.
Yes.
He has -1 setback to environmental things that prevent perception. He's got a robot.
Eli
face.
wants to punch everyone.
so
Menacing through the crowd, Eli's actually seeing Attikus, not realizing it. So I'm going to show that rich bastard.
nice arm, you fancy fuck. All right. Who are you looking for? What are you trying to do here?
Well, Morgan definitely wants to see where Lady Guinevere is. Give her some creeper glances. We got to feel out whether like being pushy with this lady is going to work or if it's going to make things worse. So at this point, we're kind of scoping it out. But I think in general, also just looking, because we've not seen the other people except for the photos. I think she will maybe eventually approach, but is doing reconnaissance first and also knows that Valentyne is tied up with the big boy.
All right, let's get a streetwise then.
Sure.
I think. Or is it perception? This falls in the middle. I'm going to go with perception because you're not talking to anyone.
Sure.
You're just purely observing.
Okay, difficulty?
I'm going to say difficulty. You're trying to observe Guinevere, but you also want to observe everyone else, like the other heirs.
Yeah, just scoping out the whole place.
All right, so then I'll make that difficulty 3 just because you're not looking for like, not just like staring at Guinevere, you're trying to like take in the whole space.
Yep.
You get your setback
There's my
from
setback.
embarrassment. You get a setback from the low light.
Okay.
It makes folks harder to spot.
But I
with them.
also have contacts that I can see in the dark. Does that help me in this at all?
Yes, you can remove that setback.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Oh man, the guards didn't check your eyes on the way in. That's gonna fuck me over for both you and Valentyne.
Okay. That's true.
Pardon me, may I see your peepers?
Even if they ask them, Valentyne can't take them out. They're pretty in there.
Honestly, if anyone else could take them out, that would also be a problem.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. Oh,
Eli's like, why do you call them peepers? It's such a stupid word.
Draws a line there.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what puts more. That's the peepers that broke the camel's back. Okay, I think that's it then.
Okay, this is a crapshoot.
Sorry, you can have a boost for Eli helping.
Thanks, Eli.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right. Well,
Of course, he's less looking for info and more for who to punch first, but still, he is
helpful.
looking.
He is like, there's a person. There's a person. Okay. All right. Oh, me and Guinevere are having a time. One failure, one threat, one triumph.
Fuck. What the?
Maybe she likes the creeper.
Okay.
Jeez.
All right, I gotta write that down. What is this fucking nonsense roll?
It is one failure, one threat, one triumph.
Okay.
For those of you only listening and not watching, Tom removed his glasses and it appeared tried to rearrange his face like Clayface or something.
Yeah. I was just trying to squish it all
Batman
back
villain,
into
yeah.
a guy who knows what to do with that roll.
Every time this happens, we watch Tom age 10 years and try to rub his face young again.
Yeah, it's like
Massage
this,
the wrinkles out.
yeah, it's those stupid aliens on Star Trek Insurrection who just pull the skin on their face back to look younger. Except in my case, it's like pull the skin on my face back to know what to do with one failure, one threat, one triumph. Okay. So she is not really having it.
Okay.
She seems kind of distracted. And I think it's that kind of thing where it's like, even though you're giving her the eyes, she's like actively darting. Like if she catches your eye, she's looking away, not in like a, oh no, you caught me looking away, but more in like a no
She's
interest.
not feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, no
That's fine.
interest.
Understood.
Turning it away. However, you did the threat will just pass forward to whoever rolls next. The triumph, however, is you notice as you're kind of like watching the crowd. Well, you know what? I'll give this to you. Which you notice one of the heirs specifically. Who do you want information on?
I want information on Kuros, party boy.
Party boy Kuros. Yeah. All right. So Valentyne Kuros is shaking hands like a politician. He is just like, and what you're noticing is that he's actively, because you got a triumph and you're spending some time observing him. He's waiting, like he's moving through the crowd, doing the big like handshake, slap you on the shoulder, like maybe pull you into a hug thing. But you notice that it's not like people are waiting to do that with him. It's that he is bombing into conversations and then just doing that to whoever is in the conversation. So
Gotcha.
in his wake, there's a lot of spilled drinks and a lot of like people kind of being like, what the fuck? But also everyone knows who he is and he's got status. So he's kind of allowed to, but it's giving weirdly to an outside viewer. It gives the sense that he knows everyone and everyone is excited to see him. But with more careful observation, you realize that he's literally just a wrecking ball in this party right now. He's just going around causing social chaos, like so much strain damage happening just all around him. But his soak is too high because he has no shame.
Right. And is he fine or is he intoxicated doing this?
Like alarmingly sober looking,
Right.
but like having a great time. Like this is clearly from where you're sitting and what you know of like human behavior.
Yeah.
This is like a very calculated, like I'm doing this because it makes people uncomfortable thing.
I hate this.
No, that to me, that's good information because there's a huge difference between that and someone
Very
who is
much, yes. This
blasted.
is not just like joyous. I'm feeling no pain. This is like nice conversation, assholes. It'd be a shame if someone shook your hand
I
right
am
now.
going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, and team Van Houten.
Valentyne, knowing that from all the research, Duke Wixthrop is somebody who doesn't really enjoy these social events, and knowing that we're going for mysterious, dangerous ? Lord Van Houten, the strategy would be leading Attikus over to like the side of the room where there is a table where he can have a drink that is separated from the group and just parking there. People can come to him if they're interested, but it's dangerous if they go to him because he's new. And it lets Valentyne stand over his shoulder and just kind of watch the room. So it's like, who's going to come to him? They're aware that like he's low enough status that he's an interesting thing, but not somebody who can walk up to important people and be like, hey, how you doing?
Cool. So so you pull in over there and like you notice that there are just a swarm of servo skulls with the powdered wigs and like the bows and things, just like flying around, like picking up drinks and flying away. So like whenever you finish a drink, like it'll just swoop in, deliver a new one, or pick up the empty. There are servitors moving around with trays of drinks as well, but the servo skulls are kind of getting in where they can. So you've got like, you find yourself kind of over there, but you don't. It's not like you need to constantly like worm your way to the bar. There is something kind of serving you over there and drifting in and out. And as soon as you get there, you are just fucking swarmed by people. Like they've been watching since your announcement, and with the arm, you are a huge point of fascination. Unfortunately, it is just a group of like tittering debutantes, just being like, "Oh my god!" Like there's a bunch of like there's a couple of ladies who are like super jacked who are like trying to talk military shit to you. There's just like a guy who's like, and you were in the army? Like, oh goodness. And is like just really, really into the idea of you. And you realize that one of the dangers to this is being an oddity who is low on the social rank is you are incredibly accessible to a lot of the folks who wouldn't feel comfortable talking to anyone up top. So what I'd like from this, I think, is obviously these aren't the people you want around you. Because they're going to prevent any amount of anyone of value, quote, quote, coming to talk to you. What is your strategy for getting rid of them?
That's over to Attikus. Valentyne can't make those overt moves at this point without blowing cover. So,
Attikus wants to create an air of inaccessibility. You know, he's accessible now because he's low on the rung. So he wants to leverage how dangerous he is to make people who are not so secure and insulated kind of second guess approaching him. The topmost people who have lived with protection their entire lives and that kind of thing, he doesn't want to appear too closed off to them, but to appear more interesting and appear above the rabble. So I think once we've got a crowd of people like kind of fawning over him and things like that, and if someone gets in his face asking what war is like, Attikus vents a little and pulls this gentleman you said asking like, you know, what's it like to?
Oh, it must be so cool. You must get so much honor on the battlefield, like, you know, comrades standing together against the forces of what is the word? Chaos, and pushing back the tides.
Attikus,
hip hip cheerio,
with his flesh arm, will say, will grab this guy by his lapel and pull him close and growl loudly like a stage whisper.
You think you know of war? You think you know of service? You know nothing.
And he'll throw him to the ground so that he slides into the middle of the room.
Amazing.
I was going to say, if he throws him back, Valentyne will just stick a foot out and trip the guy so he like goes all the way down.
Yeah.
Trips and slides, record skips, everyone stops and turns, there's gasps, someone drops a glass.
Yeah.
Immediately, like a skull just descends to go find the broken glass.
Attikus turns to Robite and says, "Find me a balcony."
Rabute does. They fucking go to a balcony.
Yeah.
And as you kind of carve your way through the crowd towards the balcony, a man with chiseled features who is sort of lurking in a corner, being talked at by one of the elder Kyros folks about just the true value of a high quality pigment compared to a low quality pigment, and how truly, like, most people think they can't tell the difference, but if you look close, you can tell the difference. He sips just a sparkling water that he's got in like a tumbler, a rocks tumbler. And watches just like a young upstart get thrown across the room. And as he sips his drink, his eyes kind of follow the mysterious soldier who did it. And for the first time that night, Duke Wixthorpe feels a small smile begin to spread across his features, and thinks to himself, oh, thank the Emperor, at least someone here is interesting. From the Journal of Duke Wixthorpe. I will do this, for it is necessary. I will not enjoy this, though it is necessary. Emperor on the throne, I hate fucking parties. Attikus and Valentyne, you're making your way up to a balcony kind of overlooking the party. Only the sort of front entryway to the estate is open, and as a result, you are kind of limited in where you can go. That said, there is certainly like the idea of being able to overlook the party is certainly viable. Like it's a thing that they're allowing, but yeah, you don't have like free reign of the mansion or anything. There's certainly a lot of attendants inside. You make your way sort of up to a balcony, and as you enter onto it, there's a man in a suit, honestly, kind of similar to Morgan's. He seems to be talking to a servo skull that is styled differently than the ones that are floating around the party. This one is painted gold with some kind of purple embellishments. It seems to almost have... it's sort of like the skull's been subdivided almost like a checkerboard. So it's just like, you know, half sort of gold and half purple in boxes. And he is just chatting with it, saying like, you know, honestly, my favorite part of these things is watching who just really, really fucks up. Like, I mean, that guy's nobody, so who cares? But there's just always, and it's without fail, there's always someone who just really shits the bed. So I'm honestly thinking this year, I think my money's on Versailles. I don't know what he's going to do. I think he's really going to fuck it up. And then as soon as he hears the door behind him open, he turns and you recognize the king. Frederick Fitzgerald is standing there sort of a drink in hand. And he says, oh, sorry, this balcony's royally... oh, hey, Van Houten.
Your Majesty. And I'll bow.
And he acknowledges that with like a slight nod. Very expected and necessary. He says, Francois Van Houten. I don't know if you remember me at all. You were pretty young when we met, but it's interesting that you're back, given, you know, all of your family's foibles. But welcome, I suppose.
Yes, I'm afraid I don't recall. I was quite young. I am looking forward to making new memories here and with you, sir.
Honestly, that's a pretty good answer. I feel like a lot of folks wish they could just have a gap, you know, and come back and start fresh. And I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your staff. You there, what's your name?
Brabute Figurello, my liege. He's fucking still bowing. He's bowing. Like he's fucking bent over.
You can stand up. It's a party. Come on, man. You can stand up. It's fine.
Thank you, sir. And he just back up to standing and just immediate, like eyes forward against the wall, hoping to become a statue. Like he's just not here.
So do you blindfold all of your servants, or what's going on with that?
A stylistic choice, my liege.
Not bad, Van Houten, not bad. Okay, tell me, you just threw that guy across the room. That was pretty entertaining, honestly. But you know, when it's not surprising. I don't know if he introduced himself, but it's Haldoran Warwalker. His family. Well, they like to style themselves as military folk, but really they just like history a lot. You know, the kind that collect and paint miniatures. You know, that whole deal. But I gotta ask. I mean, are you here to compete for the hand of my nephew as well?
Well, first, my liege, please, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize for my behavior. This evening, that was...
it was great. Please don't apologize. That was fantastic. You kidding?
Well, I do regret that I lost my temper with Mr. Warwalker. All the same, I appreciate you and your graciousness about it. And I am, in fact, pursuing your nephew.
He looks a little bit bored by your apology, and just kind of waves his hand and says, "Yes, very good, very good. Well, you're at least making things interesting. Honestly, I've wanted to throw the Warwalker family across the floor for years, but you know,
I highly recommend it.
Like sips his drink. And he's like, I suppose the night is young. All right. Well, best of luck to you, Francois. I can't really imagine a world where a Van Houten marries into the royal family, but suppose stranger things have happened. And you certainly are. And he kind of like eyes the arm, and he's like, you certainly are an original. So I'll give you that. But in any case, welcome back, welcome home. You know, I'll be sure to tell the Warwalkers how much I appreciated your service here today. Please enjoy the party, and I'm sure you will speak with my nephew sometime soon.
Oh, my liege, I understand it's difficult for you to imagine a Van Houten winning your nephew's hand, but I have quite a large imagination, and I look forward to expanding yours, my liege.
Can you roll a... Oh, boy.
Fucking cool guy shit.
Yeah, kind of.
Let's see if I trip over my own fucking dick.
Okay, let's go with... Honestly, I think I'm gonna say charm, which I know is not your forte.
It's a good thing I'm not wearing my armor. I can take an automatic fail in charm and an automatic success in coercion when I'm wearing my intimidating armor.
Hey, well, but you're
Tough
not
to coerce this fucking guy. So
Yep. So let's go with charm. Difficulty 2. He's not like actively fighting you on this. I'm going to spend a story point to make it interesting, though. So it'll be 1 red, 1 purple. You can have a boost for, honestly, this particular kind of interaction is what you've been training on. And even though he's the king, I think you also really have a bit of a benefit of like not entirely respecting what that
I just want to leave an impression.
Just a guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to be remembered.
I'll give you another boost for throwing Haldrian Warwalker across the room. That really did impress Fitzgerald. So he's amenable.
Full disclosure, I've got a third boost in there as a result of, I think, a previous die roll carrying that over.
Good stuff. I am going to give you a setback for being a Van Houten. It is not a favorable state. Cool.
All right. Okay. 2 successes and a threat.
Okay. So he nods and says, well, I mean, if anyone's going to win a hand, someone with a hand as large as yours seems like the right person to do it. But time will tell whether even one as forward and bombastic as you can redeem a name as sullied as Van Houten. At this point, Voidstained carries less shame than your house. And while I appreciate that you've cleaned up the debts a little bit, well, it's going to take more than throwing a waif across a room to impress this town.
Well, Attikus will bow deeply and say, like with his eyes to the floor,
looking forward to surprising you, my liege.
Honestly, me too. And he exits, and you take no strain because you succeeded in your gamble.
Good God.
In your social gambit.
Valentyne will look to Attikus and say, should I keep any stragglers off the balcony, my lord?
Stragglers, yes, Reboute.
Great. Valentyne's basically going to take the entrance, and like people of note get to come inside. Everybody else gets refused entry. This is just Attikus gets to stand up as Lord Van Houten, where people are like, "Oh, he talked to the king," and then just like fucking no losers. He's just a loser bar. At the door.
There are definitely a lot of eyes on the balcony because there are people already looking at the king. So the fact that like you came up, had the conversation, the fact that the king seemed amused and like left. The fact that the king didn't like boot you immediately is also of note. So yes, your reputation grows. The fire rises. Okay. Cool beans.
I also just realized now, because I play as Valentyne, I don't think about it, but it looks like a blindfolded man is perfectly seeing everyone approach me. Like, no, not you. Have a nice time.
That's exactly what the king was talking about.
You're so good.
Okay, so meanwhile, back downstairs, Morgan and Eli. Morgan, you've failed to catch the eye of Guinevere, or rather, you've discovered that she's actively avoiding your eye.
Yes.
You have noticed Kuros, and I mean, seem like you're really down with it. Like everyone seems like they really like this. Like all the the players at my table, seem like you love this character I've built for you.
Yes.
So Vincari Kuros is going around doing his thing. What would Morgan be doing now?
So great to know about Kuros and like his approach, but also dangerous for me. Not in great standing already. Don't have the situation to burn. So I think it's like, hopefully we can get more people interested once the event starts, but I think Morgan is now like, okay, I need more intel. So looking and seeing what Boberstein is doing and the Voidstain guy, and just more intel, because I'm not going to impress anyone here, and overplaying my hand is just going to make me look embarrassing, which is not going to help me. So I think it's just more intel. What can I see from these people's interactions with other people tonight?
Cool. All right, I like that. Eli, how protective are you being of Morgan? Like, are you letting people get up to talk to her, or are you just like keeping everyone away?
He can't really be overly protective without, I mean, ultimately it's her call who she lets in. However, I'm kind of like her bodyguard. So I would say, unless it's like someone who is the head or like the heir of the family or someone directly representing them, it'll be like he'll probably step forward and be like, state your intent.
Mm-hmm. All right, can you give me a coercion?
Coercion, yeah.
We're gonna say difficulty of 2.
Oh, coercion.
Largely just to represent the frustrating myriad of responses you get to that.
Okay. Difficulty 2?
Difficulty 2.
All right.
I'll give you a point of boost for being someone of military bearing playing at the society. So the way you say it isn't as casual as like, I'm a snooty guard. It's like, I've seen things. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have a boost for that. You have a setback from the bad arrival.
Yeah.
And that's it from my end.
Yeah, I can't. I believe it or not, I have no social talents. So I'm just going to roll. Hey, 1 success, 1 advantage.
Okay.
Look at him go.
Yeah, people are kind of scared of you, and they're both like, they're scared but titillated by Morgan, but they are just straight scared of you. So it's a challenge because people like want to get up and like talk to her about like everything she's seen and her travels. And like, it's also it's not a lot of like folks looking for someone eligible. It is more so the folks who are like already married, are older and more established in the society, who are just like, oh, an oddity. So there's just a lot of like folks like just boors for days trying to get at Morgan, but you're able to kind of keep them at bay, which in turn will mean that Morgan, you don't take any disadvantage from having to try and do your perception while being like assailed by morons.
Awesome.
That said, Laura, what I would appreciate from you is like, what are some of Eli's blow off lines?
Thank you for your interest. Please feel free to observe the captain from over there.
Oh, how mysterious. We certainly shall. And after we do that, we speak to her, I assume.
That depends.
Oh, good. It's a game. All right, very good. We will stand over here politely. Come, darling. And then like the two of them just go and like stand at distance. Like they're in line.
Eli will just stare at them.
Amazing. They don't know whether they're winning or losing. All right, Morgan, go ahead. Let's go with perception again. This time difficulty is 2. I believe you've already burnt off your bad arrival dice. You get a boost from Eli keeping idiots away from you. Yes. And honestly, I think I'll give you another boost for just like, this is passive, you have time, and because you're not trying to actively engage anyone, like you're not in any rush.
Great.
I think that's it. for me, unless anyone wants to make a call or a case for anything.
That sounds right to me.
Cool.
All right. Another Bizarro Land roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 advantages, 1 triumph.
Jesus.
All right.
Damn.
I don't know.
That should be
great.
should be 1 success then, I think, because
Yeah.
so, you know,
This
so you get a
roller
success
is
and just
weird.
a metric fuck ton of advantage.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna say with 3 advantage, you can normally like force a target to like drop something or fuck with them in that way. I think in this case, let's say the advantage, the equivalent here is, you can force 2 people to flub something.
Yeah.
It won't cause them like massive damage, but just like you can cause 2 oopsies for various errors that you're observing.
Yeah.
With your triumph, similar to last time, I'll let you pick who you want information on of the heirs that are wandering around. You said specifically you were looking at Bobberstein and
Voidstein. I think Bobberstein then would be my main objective to find information about, because I was already suspicious of that house's dealings and what's going on with their import situation, and if it could pertain to our Eldar situation.
Gotcha.
So
Okay, so he's having the opposite night of Kyros, where he is standing, he's planted himself like somewhere just in that perfect sweet spot between the food and the sandwich, like the sandwiches and the booze. So he's just like at the nexus point of the party, and like people are coming to him. And what's interesting is, unlike Kyros, who's like having a great time at everyone else's expense, everyone else seems to be having a great time like because of Bobberstein. He's just like, Robbie is just like entertaining people. He's telling stories. He's making jokes. And it's very much that like classic sort of beloved politician surrounded by hangers-on, where like everyone is laughing at his jokes, but you get the sense they're legitimately enjoying it. Like this isn't put on. It's a lot of people who are just kind of like, oh, there's the funny one at the party. So they're hanging around, and he seems to be unaware that he's got a crowd around him and is just kind of like making comments and everything else. That said, with the triumph, you can tell that he is somewhat distracted, and whenever there's kind of like one of those moments where he's like landed a punchline, everyone's laughing, and he's taking a sip of his drink. His eyes are darting out into the crowd, and it takes you a few times to see where he's looking. At first, you assume that it's looking for Duke Wixthrope, who it should be noted is not part of this crew and is not like hanging out over there. He's found somewhere else to kind of tuck himself in. But you notice that he's actually darting glances in Guinevere's direction. She does not seem to be noticing or acknowledging, but he seems to, when he has little downtime moments, be kind of searching the crowd for her.
Okay, great. Sweet. Then I think if I can use my advantages, I would like Guinevere to drop something, but basically to drop a drink or something like that, and Morgan to step in and fix it before it drops on her.
You want a Tobey Maguire
yes.
tray grab?
But then just walk off. Fix, no comment, walk off.
Cold. Okay.
God damn.
Great. So yeah, I think we can say that. So Guinevere is rushing around and is again navigating the party as best she can. And at one point, you just catch a moment where like clearly the like I'm hosting this facade falls a bit. She's like talking to an attendant. It's one of the ones you recognize from the shooting gallery, and you can just see the exhaustion kind of settle in, and then you see her like reset her shoulders, kind of like roll them back, grab a drink, and turn. And as she does so, the drink just gets away from her.
Yeah.
And it's just like soaring, just slow motion, like sloshing and soaring at the back of just like a very stately, dukish looking man's like, bald head and like a very like fancy, expensive cape. And like he's in deep conversation about like trade regulations or some nonsense. And it's just, you watch her face as she's just like, fuck. And like Darth Vader in fucking Cloud City, you just step in, hold up a gloved hand, let the drink splash against it. The glass bounces off it and hits the floor. And you briefly lock eyes with Guinevere, who looks at you in like with both like some surprise, but also some like relief, obviously. And then you just step away.
Yep.
Do you look back, or is
Nope.
like...
I just step away. If she spilled a drink on my hand, I'm gonna like lick hand, see drink. But I'm also looking. Did Bobberstein check that? Did he see that this interaction happen?
I need another perception check, my friend.
All
You're
right.
doing a lot of things.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm
6
just,
advantage is...
I'll
Weaving
take
many
it.
webs.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
I'm just trying to make intrigue happen now.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished. All right. We're going to say difficulty 3 because you're doing this while also like...
That's fine. This is
vatoring
just a
drink.
just in case if I can
Sure.
put some stuff
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
I'll give you a boost for having spent your triumph observing him. So you've got like a very good sense of where... Like, you don't need to be like, where are you? It's like,
Yeah, I
he's
knew
right
where
there.
he was. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
It's fine. 1 success, 3 threat, which maybe is what I wanted. You know, he saw me, me.
Yeah.
You know, hey.
You see him, he sees you.
Yeah, yeah, boy.
There's
playing.
a locking of eyes as you like finish the lick drag across your hand. And you know, like an angry Paul Rudd is a very sad looking Paul Rudd. Like, you know, it's like the sunshine went behind a cloud. And just for a brief second, you see the joy in his face dies. He gives you just a real stony look.
Oh, perfect.
And his eyes narrow slightly as he raises his drink and he says something out the side of the glass that alerts some like gasps and things. It's clear that like till now all the jokes have been very genial, but he said something like kind of blue and people are a little taken up like oh, that's funny, but we were, what about the tee-hee-hees? Like we were tee-hee-heeing and that's more of a, like an oh-ho. And people are not into it, but they kind of have to be because they've committed. But you've clearly had enough. I did.
That's fine. I'm going back to Eli, and I'm just gonna keep playing up the chill, keep people away from me, because now it's like, okay, they don't realize that I'm not on anybody's side, and I don't care, so it's fine. As long as people are talking about stuff, we're trying.
So Eli, you've got a group of about 6 people you've told to stand in line now.
So Eli's doing that kind of weird thing where it's like, well, you know, as like someone standing guard, it's like arms crossed, and it's like he's not looking directly at them. He's in their direction. So they just happen to be the direction he's facing to stand guard, but like his eyes are kind of
Like a soft focus.
they're like out of focus
Yep.
because he's logging everything else that's going on around him.
All right, I like that.
And Morgan.
So it's very much like, yeah, so you're just like the club bouncer who is aware
Yeah.
there's a lot of impatient people but does not care.
Yeah.
Okay, can you roll me a perception, please?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say difficulty 3 because you're trying to keep an eye on Morgan.
Okay.
I'll give you a boost for the same things I gave Morgan a boost for. You're not going anywhere. There's not like any urgency to this. This is just like you're observing the crowd. I will give you the standard Eli frustration setback for just like
Damn it.
a sea of punchable faces. It's like water everywhere, not a drop to drink, but the drop to drink is punching faces. Cool. Yeah, that's what I got for you.
It's really hard to argue for anything more. So let's just see what happens. That is 2 failures, 1 threat.
Alrighty.
I perceive nothing.
Yep, your eyes fall out.
Jesus.
Yeah, you don't observe anything of note. It's hard to track Morgan, and I think that's getting you a bit stressed, which is just like she's wearing all black at night in a dark party and has like dark hair and moves stealthily. So it's just like immediately she just disappears into the crowd and it's like, whoa.
It's also weird just like seeing a whole bunch of people like behaving oddly and laughing in this odd false conversations and
Yeah, it's a bit of a far cry
what
from
the
like
fuck is what is going
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Also, I think we could also ascribe some of this to just the fact that you want to try and observe this from rank and you just fucking can't tell who is who because all of the rituals seem so weird that it's very hard to tell. Okay. Excellent. So, Morgan, you come back with your information. Folks continue to wait to talk to you. Valentyne, who are you letting in to talk to Attikus? Or who would you hope would arrive to talk to
I was going to say, fucking nobody. That's the plan, is to make sure that this is that Attikus, we need to play Lord Van Houten as so disinterested in all of this, because the less people interact with him and the more they just hear like this title, he's defeated this person, he talked with the king, the more generally interesting he's going to be. The more people know, the more dangerous it is. So if anybody showed up who was like a rival or something like that, how Valentyne would do it, and I think they would read it the same way, is he would always be like, apologies, name of celebrity, said very loudly so Attikus can clearly hear them. But my Lord Van Houten wishes to remain alone. And then if there's somebody Attikus wants to talk to, he could just overrule his footman. But to the point where if the Duke approached, Valentyne would do the same thing. It would be more apologetic, but that's it. Because it's just this wall of importance.
Gotcha. All right. The only...
Why the hell did he come to a party?
She's so dark and mysterious. I'm going to go home and write my dream journal. So Haldarin Warwalker shows up at one point, kind of apologetically, and I assume is sent away.
Do you have something for my lord?
I merely wished to express my apologies to him, as well as perhaps to speak of tactics. You see, my family has some history, and I think perhaps that did not come across earlier.
Your apology has been noted. It will be responded to at my lord's leisure.
Will that be at 0800 hours? I understand that is how the military speaks in time. Perhaps you do not know this, servant.
Master Warwalker, I believe you fell down on the first level. If I were to allow you onto this balcony to discuss tactics, I believe you might see the floor again, but from rather a higher starting point.
You make a valid point. In this particular instance, he has the high ground. Perhaps one day I shall instead. Good day to you, sir. And apologies to your lord. It is always nice to spar with a fellow man of war.
Remain aware of the fact that power fists can punch upwards. Good day.
And he walks away and attempts a fist punch in the air and says, I shall have to adjust my models, and quickly scurries away.
Valentyne, based on this interaction, is pretty sure he could hit this guy. No one would care.
Please let Eli.
It's not your birthday.
See how he behaves in line.
Yeah. All right. The only heir that does approach is Tridimus Versailles, who walks up just with like a full like retinue of his own, and he's like reading a book as he walks up, and he's kind of got people around him, also just like keeping people at distance. They're all fucking beautiful. These are like stunningly attractive people, but are all clearly serving the exact same purpose as Eli downstairs, but just like he wants to be surrounded by pretty people doing it. And he walks up and says, pardon me, I understand that Lord Van Houten's on this here balcony. Might I have a word?
Unfortunately, and with greatest apologies, Lord Versailles, my master, Lord Francois Van Houten, needs to be alone for a moment. That is the solace of his own company that he seeks after the confrontation downstairs. Of course, said loudly enough that Attikus can clearly hear it.
Yeah. Attikus does not correct Robite. Robite has the right of it. Yeah.
And Versailles just sniffs and says, well, I'd hardly call that a confrontation, but I suppose if that's what he considers one, well, fair enough. In any case, I was mostly going to ask if he wouldn't mind holding my book while I see to matters, but apparently he's too busy for even that, so hope he enjoys his balcony in the fresh air. It will be awfully musty and awfully drafty back in your piss-hole estate, but, you know, I'll leave you to it. Best be on my way. It must be nice to understand what the view from the top looks like. I understand the Van Houtens have never had that, so...
I could hold on to your book, if you please, my lord. Unfortunately, my master's power fist, its distortion field tends to destroy things it handles.
Well, suppose destroying what one handles is what the Van Houtens do best now, isn't it? All right, well, I'll tell you what, I would give you this book, but I don't think your measly intellect could enjoy it, but you know what? Fine, here you go. Enjoy. I'm sorry there's not more pictures for you. And he hands you a book, and it's just like, it's just the douchiest fucking obscure, like Valentyne, you probably wouldn't have heard of this writer, but you just looking at it, you're like, this is 100% like, you know, the door jam book that people have just on their desk to be like, I am important. That said, the spine is cracked. It is well worn. He's clearly actually read this douchey book a bunch of times. He hands it off to you and just says, memorized it anyway. And then he turns and just gestures to his retinue to exit.
Oh, Valentine's fine with letting this guy go.
Yep.
His estimation of this man has gone down significantly.
That's good because Attikus was scared to talk to him. Like,
Oh, I
this
mean,
guy's smarter and more like politically apt.
oh, I mean, he's all of that, but
Yeah.
he's also a sledgehammer, and really clever people in politics are not sledgehammers. So
Yeah.
Valentine is like, okay, he may be a genius pretending to be stupid, but that's not a good play.
Yeah, so he fucks off.
Valentine, over the course of this time, would like to, when he has some casual moments, search this book for typos. Because it would be a really fun thing to point out to this lord that in a book he memorized there are typos on like page 142, 146, 147, and just like hand it back with that information at some point.
Okay. Yeah, there probably are. I mean, I don't feel like editorial really exists at the black libraries of 40K.
Yeah,
like,
I'm imagining this is basically the 40K equivalent of Sean Penn's book.
Yeah,
You
like
remember
how
that?
vain is this book? Like, did the writer even let an editor touch it?
Yeah.
Like,
Again, I honestly just don't know that there are editors for fiction in 40K.
Okay,
I feel like,
yeah.
but yeah, no, it's
the about the
Sean
author
Penn
photo
book.
is the cover of this book.
Yeah. Yeah, the Sean Penn pull is pretty awful. I was thinking more like like an Infinite Jest that isn't actually written with any style or interest. That's just like that. But yeah, the Sean Penn book is fine. It's somehow written in second and third and first person. It's just like all over the map.
Cool. Second person.
Yes, it's where
The fuck?
the second person is it's no bueno. It's we did this, like you did this.
You did this.
I
Yeah.
hate
What
it.
the fuck?
Hate it. Cool. So he fucks off back into the crowd. And otherwise, the night passes kind of quietly for you, Attikus, as your like power fist grips the balcony edge. I'm sure, like just standing out here looking impressive is awful.
It's nice to not to talk to people.
Yeah.
Just because the stakes are always ever present when I'm engaging with people. Obviously, he can't let the mask slip because he is always potentially on camera or mic'd. But it's nice to not have to do a battle of wits or verbal barbs because he sucks at it and would just end up hurting someone.
Yep, understood. Is there anything you're trying to observe from the crowd below you because you're like up on a perch for a while? Do you think you'd be just like looking out onto the horizon, or would you be trying to observe the party?
People watching sounds like a good use of the time.
Cool. All right. So if you can give me perception at difficulty 2, is there anything in particular you're looking for? You're just kind of checking out the scene.
I think it's more checking things out. What in the grand like big picture, what am I looking out on? Is this a courtyard?
Yeah. It's like it's the front kind of like walk up to the house. So it's got like a giant fountain in the center. There are kind of like there's that line of trees that leads out to the gate, but this is all this is a weird pull, but it should work for your brain, I think. In the runway model Hitman level, it's like out in front of that mansion where it's just like a big garden party out in front of a fancy house.
Well, and if it's the entrance that I'm looking at, I would be interested in learning a bit about security.
Okay.
It's all the Fitzgerald houses security, right? They're the
That's
only
correct,
ones
yep.
who police this planet.
Yep.
And since we're going to go into their cloud palace and stir up some trouble trying to find an Eldar, might as well familiarize ourselves with
Like
how
royal
they
security?
with
Yeah,
how
yeah,
they
yeah.
secure a perimeter and that kind of thing.
Cool. So you can definitely see there are some like guards similar to the security staff that you have kind of like on behalf of the Bolonsong family, but they are the equivalent of like student constables, right? Like they're around, they look very official, they're not armed. The royal security is much more visible. Their armor evokes the Arbites kind of like Judge Dredd style stuff if it was toned down a bit and a bit more lightweight. That said, at distance, you can't actually tell how effective or ineffective this feels like light scout armor to you in
Okay.
terms of like it's functional, but it's also not, they're not like clanking around. It's
Since you have graciously given this information to me without a roll so far.
Oh yeah.
Can I make the roll to kind of strain to see what they're really about from distance?
Monocle comes up. Yes.
monocle comes up.
Sorry, I forgot you hadn't rolled. I was so busy thinking about who these clowns look like. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, thank you.
So it's perception 2.
Yeah.
You get a boost from just getting to hang out up here.
Okay.
You get a boost from boost from high ground, boost from Valentyne keeping assholes away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Setback for only having a monocle, not having your specs. It's a real problem for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. 1 success, 1 advantage.
Great. So their armor kind of looks like Arbites armor, but like it's lighter. Yeah. All the things I already told you before you rolled. They're armed with las weapons and close combat. Like it's mostly like shock balls. Like they need to be able to.
They're policing a fairly tame populace.
They are, and it seems kind of like any gun is a powerful weapon on this planet, given that people aren't open carrying. And if there's like a brawl or something, just having a shock ball that just like stun and injure seems to be kind of the thing. From the way you're watching the populace move around them, it's very clear again that like this is a population that is very contentedly under the thumb of the monarchy. There isn't people are respectfully scared of royal guards. So there's kind of that situation going on. The other thing, though, is you do see come around the side of the building. There's just sort of a flash of brilliant white, and you see the king kind of come around the corner. But with him is Forrest Pollard, the Space Marine, and there is almost a hush that falls over the crowd for only the briefest moment. And if you weren't up top looking at it, you wouldn't have caught this. But based on where you are, just the kind of like, not horror, but just the moment of like, oh shit, shock kind of passes through the crowd. And then they very politely go back to speaking as though nothing of this is of import. Pollard, of course, strikes an impressive figure. He's much larger than Fitzgerald. As advertised, the armor is like white and also just really missing any proper signifiers. Like it is stark.
Attikus would, as he's sort of as he clocks that, oh, this is the Space Marine.
Yep.
He would say,
Reboot your eyes, please.
Yep, Valentyne would tag into that. He's got to check out this fucking Space Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So particularly with your low light vision and stuff, I won't make you roll for this because he already rolled and you're at distance. Yeah, there's a lot of what you would expect or what you understand from the Adeptus Astartes isn't here. There aren't purity seals. There aren't like the pauldrons have been sort of like filed down.
Filed down.
Well, like in terms of there's no sigils on.
But there used to be.
He doesn't have a chapter marking. So innately he would have at some point because there's no way they would produce a suit of Space Marine armor without them. There are no like independent Space Marines.
Okay.
But like no chapter insignia.
He does have the royal crest of
gross
thing.
Does he have an aquila or any symbols of the Emperor anywhere on the armor? Because often they have them on the breastplate.
He's got like this is the old Marine armor. He's got like the skull, central skull. But it doesn't have the giant full aquila crest. It's just like a single small skull.
Interesting. So no actual Imperium symbols, just Space Marine armor.
Yeah.
And the Royal Valentyne doesn't like that.
Yeah. So
He's wearing a helmet?
He's not. No. He is very much not in a helmet. And again, like it's very silly in his giant hand, but he's got a champagne flute as well. And he is sipping from it as he goes. And you get the sense of like, essentially the bearing would be if I hired like a paramilitary organization like Blackwater or something, and then had a Blackwater guy with me at the party, and I'm like, but have a good time.
But he's still in like Kevlar and
yeah, that's it. Like he's
like 8 times the size of you.
Yeah, he's got like his rifle slung off him, but he is also like walking around
armed.
like eating weenies and stuff. Like it's.
Does this motherfucker look like Sandor Rafferty? Because I've seen paintings of that big ugly bastard, and I've seen him in visions.
He does not.
Okay, that is a relief.
Different fella. And he is not. I should point out he's probably got his like bolt pistol on his hip, but he's not like lugging around like a bolter. He doesn't seem to have a melee weapon. He's probably got a knife like on his
And are we talking classic Marine or are we talking Primaris Marine?
We're talking classic Marine. He does not, no, we're not doing that Primaris shit yet. But no, just standard Marine. And in terms of look, just like a very like brush cut, sort of like chiseled features, bit of a height of his career Kevin Costner look. Okay. So just like, square jaw, a little bit tired, like constantly like looks a little like browbeaten, but otherwise, yeah, just like looking around and like even occasionally like giving a toast to people, but he doesn't seem to be having a great time, but he is definitely playing the part.
Just to make sure, because Valentyne would know some superficial images of some Space Marine chapters, is there anything about his skin tone or hair or eyes or anything like that would stand out? Because like Salamander Marines, for example, are like pure black skin tone, red eyes. So like if he has that, it's like, okay, likely Salamander or Successor chapter. It's still not a decision, but if he doesn't have those, that also like narrows down.
Yeah, his face, the best you can do from here is like he's scruffy, and he definitely has facial scarring. It doesn't look ritual or anything, just like his face is a patchwork of scars under the scruff. It's a little clearer around the eyes and nose, but like jaw area is pretty fucked up. But there's no immediate signifiers to you at this distance.
So general normal, human norm within that range.
Looks like human normal, other than just the
broadening of face of Space Marine.
Yeah, and just the general strangeness of this.
Cool. And hair color is
like salt and pepper, black and gray.
Okay, odds are not Raven Guard. Okay, cool. That works for Valentyne to just check it off where he's like, hey, not salamanders. It's not pure black hair, so probably not Raven Guard. Could be a space wolf, but he doesn't have any fetishes or bone trinkets, so that's unlikely to be like successors. But it's like, great, I ruled out 3 of the like 20 options plus their thousands of successors. Well, you know what? We'll take what we can get.
I just mark those off on the list. Yeah. But the two of them sweep in, and around that time, there's a clinking of a glass, and Duke Wixthorpe kind of gets up on the fountain, sort of just like steps up a little bit awkwardly. There's just like nowhere else to go, and Guinevere kind of helps him up, and he clinks the glass and just says, hello, everyone. This is honestly a bit embarrassing for me. I don't love this amount of attention, but I guess I need to get used to that because it's the celestial season. And everyone like chuckles and like there's polite tittering about like, yes. And he says, first, of course, I would like to thank the family Bolonsong and, of course, Una for hosting us here tonight on her property. Please don't make too much of a mess. It's very nice here, and I would really hate to see any of the topiaries get fucked up by one of you, pardon my language, by one of you degenerates out here. And there's some like laughter, and he's like, I'm looking at you, Lord Dartmouth, and Dartmouth's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, in any case, this is meant to be a celebration for all of us, and I know many of you are also looking for your life partners, as I am looking for mine. So, although there will be a lot of attention on me because of the whole Duke thing, and events like this one, please make sure that you're also finding who you need. Don't worry about climbing a social ladder when you could find someone who actually fits your life. Emperor knows this place is strange enough without all of us going through it alone. So. Good luck to everyone. May your heart find a companion, or at the very least, may you find a companion for your bed if that's what you're after. And may we all find some entertainment. I look forward to the races. Well, cheers. And he raises his glass. Everyone raises their glass. The fucking Marine raises a glass. And as he does so, he raises his eyes with it, and he kind of catches you, Attikus, on the balcony, and raises the glass slightly to you.
Do I have a drink?
Those servo skulls are fucking everywhere, man. If you want one, it's literally just hold your hand out and something will drop one in.
I'll raise a drink, but only after he acknowledged me. So it's like just he and I are having a toast.
Fair enough. And behind him, Guinevere Bolonsong says, yes, of course, a toast. Cheers, everyone. And there are many cheers as Robbie watches her. She watches Wixthorpe watches you, and Morgan watches all of them.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, OMG It's Big Nick, D&D and Things, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Flea Unit, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Nithrian, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Diophasis, Loki Burrito, Squishy Werewolf, Remy, Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.